This is actually crack. If you've been to Thailand and you know what this is where it's at. Highly recommend it. This is the harsh reality of trading. This is the dark side of the industry that no one speaks about, because your favorite trading influencer, believe it or not, is trying to sell you a certain narrative to a certain extent. Again, I'm not speaking for everyone completely in this space. There are some very real and genuine people out there, but the large majority of people online are selling you a narrative. They're selling you a lifestyle. They're selling you a dream of what trading can be like, and they're kind of fantasizing it in a way where they're missing out all the negatives and all the cons long term of what the industry actually does to you. And that's what this video is about right here, is what it's actually like to be a long-term full-time funded trader and what negatives come along with that. Because again, a lot of people think trading is like riding a bike. It's a skill set that once you have it, you're just sitting there every day and you're printing money and it becomes easy. Well, first and foremost, let me tell you that trading will never be easy. It will never get to a point where it's just like you're sitting there chilling. Granted, the technical analysis becomes very easy. Like charting wise and analysis wise, it becomes second nature. To a certain level, you stop thinking about your analysis and you just see your positions. Like it becomes very easy in that aspect. But the psychology is an ongoing battle. It's something that you have to deal with every single day. And just because you're full-time funded and you have multiple hundreds of thousands in funding and you make a lot of money, it doesn't mean that you still don't have emotions. It doesn't mean that you still don't have bad psychology days. It doesn't mean that you still don't occasionally make a mistake. You don't revenge trade. You don't over leverage. You still deal with all the same things you previously dealt with, but it's just on a larger scale. It's the exact same process. The daily battles, the struggles, the times you want to cuss out the charts, all of that still happens, but it just happens on a larger scale. And I feel like not a lot of people talk about this. And personally, I was under the misconception when I first came into the industry that I was going to struggle for 2-3 years or whatever the case would be. And once I got funded and started making money, that it would just be easy and I'd be sitting there printing money from my phone every day and I'd be chilling and like I wouldn't have to give it a second thought. But the actual reality is it's pretty much the same thing I was doing in my first or second year of trading. Granted, I'm no longer sitting there learning and I'm no longer questioning the process. I'm no longer trying to learn new technicals or anything like that. But I'm still consciously having to keep on top of my psychology and constantly keep myself in check to stop myself moving backwards. And you'll find that your favorite trading influencer or creator, whatever you want to call them, the people who are actually trading, not just pretending to trade and sell you stuff, the people who are actually trading will tell you the exact same thing. And that is that it is an ongoing battle and it literally never gets easier in that sense. Now, when I say this, I don't mean to put you off. I don't mean to discourage you from trading or whatever, but I just mean to be real in terms of that's the trading space. That's what it comes down to. Fundeds, personal accounts, all of it is the same bubble of ongoing psychology, and that's literally all it is. Now, granted, you get better at dealing with the psychology. I don't mean you're going to continuously follow this loop of like over leveraging and over trading and FOMO and revenge and all of this. Like, granted, you develop more discipline, you develop more consistency, you develop a better ability to avoid the pitfalls and avoid the bad psychology and avoid the emotions. But it is still there and it is still always lingering, and you're still as susceptible to fall into that as someone who is slightly newer. Granted, you probably don't do it as often, otherwise you wouldn't be a successful, profitable trader and you wouldn't be at the point where you had a bunch of capital, but it is still always right there. And it is like, if you allow it to, you can very easily move backwards, is what I'm trying to say right here. Aside from that, another aspect that I really don't see a lot of people talk about is the stress factor of trading. Now, I'm sure, dependent on how long you've been trading for, the markets at some point in time have stressed you out. They've caused you to feel a certain type of way and they've caused you some level of frustration, whether or not it was a trade wicking you out or a missed position or a blown funded or whatever the case is. At some point, the markets have probably stressed you out. Again, that is a continuous process, and even on the bigger numbers, guess what? It just equals more stress to a certain extent. Now, granted, you do develop a higher stress tolerance and you get better at dealing with the losses, you get better at dealing with the BS. After years and years of getting wicked out every now and then and having spread do this and having slippage do that and whatever the case is, you do develop a certain tolerance to the market BS, as I call it, and it does affect you less and less every time. However, it's still an element to the trading. It still is an element to what it is that you're doing, in terms of it can still very much annoy you and it can still very much stress you out. Personally, and again, I haven't really traded much this year, 2024, but in 2023, towards the end of the year, I was going through phases every couple of months of trading was super easy. It was lovely. I was making hella profit and I was chilling. And then every now and then there'd be 1-2 weeks of like bad price action, and it would just annoy me, to be honest. And not in the sense where it would annoy me and I'd lose my head completely and full margin, I'd lose everything. Like, nah, again, that comes with a discipline aspect of, okay, I can be stressed out, I can be annoyed and still not act on that feeling and still trust my plan and do what I need to do. But it's stressful and it's annoying. And on a long enough time scale, and this is just my personal theory, but I feel like that can't be good for your health. That level of frustration, that level of stress can't be physically good for you, innit? And again, I'm going on a bit of a tangent right here, innit? But I feel like someone needs to conduct a scientific study, a clinical trial, where they bring together a bunch of traders and a bunch of non-traders and level I feel like they actually need to test what level of stress is directly correlated to like your life expectancy, because I feel like the average life expectancy of a full-time trader is like lower than the average life expectancy of just a regular person who has like a mundane 9 to 5, because it's just on a daily basis you're dealing with large amounts of capital, profit, losses. Like it's stressful. Like it really is stressful in it. And I would be curious to see whether or not that actually has an impact on your health or not. Granted, I don't mean to say that I feel sick or anything. Like I feel healthy, I'm chilling. I love the markets. US 30 is my baby. Nasdaq is my other baby. That's my side thing. So I feel great 99% of the time. But that 1% of the time when the market stresses you out, it stresses you out real hard, if you know what I'm saying. If you know, then you know. If you don't, then I don't know. Another part of trading that a lot of people actually don't speak about, and your favorite trading influencer, once again, won't really make this obvious, is that the payouts that you see when it comes to these funded accounts is not the amount of money the trader is keeping. And again, I never thought about this when I was an unprofitable trader, but when I started making money and started getting paid out myself, it became very apparent that the traders I was looking up to weren't making as much money as I thought they were, because number one, the profit split, number two, the conversion rate, and number three, taxes is a massive aspect to the space that we're in. Again, if you guys want a video on that, let me know in the comments. I'll probably make a video on it. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to get too technical. I can give you guys like an outline and like a general insight into it. But just for example, if someone posts a 10K payout that they made on US 30, so like they hit a nice 1 to 5 on our 200K, risking 1%, $10,000, and they're waiting for their payout, and you think, oh, this guy just made $10,000, that must feel so great, etc., etc. That 10K is not actually 10K. And again, especially if you're in the UK, that 10K is actually not 10K, because after the prop firm takes its profit split, again, depending on what prop firm you're with, that might be 20%, might be 25%, it might be a little bit lower. Again, it depends, but let's say it's 20%. So you're now left with $8,000. That $8,000 converted into GBP if you're in the UK is around 6.8, I believe. Don't quote me on that number specifically. It might be a little bit higher than that, it might be a little bit lower, it depends on the exchange rate. But it's definitely not $8,000. It might even be in the sevens, but I think it's like 6.8. Anyways, so already we've gone from like 10K to like 6.8, for example. Let's just call it 7K flat, being generous. Cool. So we've gone from 10K to 7K. Now that 7K is technically profit, but again, you now need to pay taxes because you're self-employed, you need to file your taxes, etc. Depending on what income bracket you're in, what tax bracket you're in, your tax can be anywhere from 20% to 45%. It's quite a lot of money. Again, I'm not going to sit here and do the maths for you, but you can imagine how that 10K profit that the influencer posted on their story or whatever quickly turns into like actually maybe 5K profit that they're actually keeping in their pocket and they can spend freely. The point is that it's not all what it's made out to be online, and you need to be very careful about what you're absorbing on social media, because there is a certain narrative behind it and it's very much different in reality. With all of that being said, I don't want this video to be super negative and like to kind of push you away from trading or any of that. Trading is still lit. Do not get it twisted. Trading is still lit. And when you have the skill set and you know what you're doing and you're actually generating profits from the market, regardless of taxes and percentage splits and like conversion rates and all of this, you're still making very good money, and there's nothing like withdrawing money from the markets. I can promise you, when you actually start making real money from the markets and you start seeing that money in reality and it starts changing your life and you start buying things, you start going on trips and all of this, none of that actually matters. The stress doesn't matter, the pain doesn't matter, the wicks don't matter, the spread, the slippage, any sort of BS in the market doesn't really matter. Again, it has its little moments, there's a little bit of irritation here and there, but generally speaking, you do not care because you're lit and you're making money and you're just having fun, you're achieving your dreams. So don't let any of that put you off for trading, because it can still very much change your life, and it's done that for me. But just understand that there's a lot more that goes into it than people make out online and social media. I'm going to sniff this. I'm going to end the video soon.